All right, so Sark was certainly doing the media circuit yesterday, and I don't blame him.
Making his rounds.
Doing his thing right after, just like he did after the win on Friday night. He was advocating for his team, which is what a coach should do.
I agree.
And let me play this. It's our Horns at Half Past brought to you by Dr. Greg Eckert. He's going to tell you more about him coming up. He's my dentist, and he wants to be yours. But Sark was, in addition to SEC this morning yesterday, the Colin Cowherd show. Sark was on our station yesterday on the Paul Feinbaum program, and the message was the same wherever spot he landed, but he thinks his 9-win team with 3 losses is more accomplished than some teams that have 10 or 11 wins and only 1 or 2 losses.
Is the playoffs about who's the best record, or are the playoffs about who are the best teams and who are the best teams that play well against the good teams? Because, I think all of us are sitting here thinking, man, I wish we didn't schedule that or didn't schedule this. And if we're 10-2 right now, this isn't even a discussion. I don't know if you'd still have me on your show or not if we're 10-2 right now. But the reality of it is we're 9-3, having played 5 top 10 ranked teams out of the 12 regular season games that we played, where a lot of other teams that have previously been in front of us haven't played any. Or the 1 or 2 that they did play, they lost. And so, but yet, when they play a team they're favored by 28 points against, they go beat them by 28 or 30 points, and, they're playing really good. Well, you're not going to be favored by 28 points in the playoffs. It's going to be 3, 2, 5. I mean, these are all really good teams. So who plays the best against the really good teams? And, I've been proud of our team. We fought back all year long. We've had a difficult schedule. We went to some really difficult road environments and battled our tails off. And to finish it off, with our season on the line, to play an undefeated A&M team, number 3 in the country, which some people thought was the best team in the country, and to beat them by 10 at home, and the way we played that second half in a dominating fashion, I think sent a really good message to the committee.
All right, so the committee will react tonight, and that's what we don't know what they're going to say. And the one thing Sark has done with the media tour yesterday is, if they still have Texas down at 14 or 15. Because what you need to see tonight, if you're a Texas fan, is Texas bounce up ahead of Miami.
Agreed.
They certainly should be ahead of Utah.
Yep.
They're going to go ahead of Michigan, who's going to drop.
Sure. And
then remember, BYU plays Tech this weekend, so Tech could give BYU a second loss, which would drop them behind Texas. But even if Texas were to get up to 11, because the Texas's biggest impediment to getting into the playoff is Notre Dame, who's sitting up there at 9, and the fact that the SEC already has 5 teams.
Right.
So they're not giving 6 to the SEC. And the SEC, Greg Sankey's not coming out lobbying for you because he's already got his 5. And that's why it was interesting for me to hear Joel Klatt yesterday talking about how good is Oklahoma, even though they're a 2-loss team and Texas beat them head up. Because Texas is in a battle for the 6th SEC team with Vanderbilt, who they beat head-to-head but have a 3rd loss. So that's where Texas' biggest problem is there's already 5 SEC teams that are pretty much locked in and worthy. The only thing I mentioned yesterday is, what if Alabama gets rolled out of the building in Atlanta against Georgia, and then Alabama is a 3-loss team, and their loss to Florida State is worse than Texas's loss to Florida. Same time, Alabama is the number 1 seed in the SEC championship game. They're the 1 seed. Georgia's the 2. That's hard to see that team tumbling from the 1 seed in that game down behind Texas. So the odds are very, very long.
Yeah, and I think it's a fair question. What he's doing, he should be, right? He has argument to, we have this resume, we beat these teams in the top 10, and I agree. Now, there's things that you can poke holes in of, what about the losses? What about the points that were scored against you? What about those even overtime games that were close, right? That's just there. And so that's what people are saying outside of the building. But I think Sark has a complete fair argument of, and he's just asking genuinely, and we asked this too because we don't know. Are these the best teams? Are we implementing the best teams? I can answer that right now. No, because we're going to have, no offense to North Texas or a Tulane or a James Madison or anyone from the ACC in. They're occupying spots. Those teams are not as good as Texas. Those teams are not as good as teams that are not going to be getting in the back.
Because that's a fair point, but at the same time, we know that those were the rules of the game when it began.
For sure.
And that's, as we've said, when you had 10 different conferences with an equal vote to this, to get to 12 from 4, you had to give everybody an equal vote, and they were not going to not have a seat at the table. So that's why those 5 automatic qualifiers
but that's
are going to be
the answer to that question, to occupy those spots.
But I think you can remove that. That doesn't even, we all understand, we knew on August 30th when Texas played at Ohio State that there were 5 automatic qualifiers. If you win your conference, you're going to be in. So we're talking about 7 at-large spots.
Right.
Even within the 7, are they putting in the 7 best.
Well, then you go to Alabama. I agree. Maybe Texas, Alabama, you could, if they lose, but are they going to fault, because we don't know this, are they going to fault a team for making a conference championship?
No, they shouldn't be punished for that. They should not. But this is what Sark is saying about Notre Dame. So when you consider that Texas has played more top 10 teams than Texas Tech, Utah, Notre Dame, and Miami combined, and they've beaten more top 10 teams than anybody in the country, how are you saying Texas isn't one of the best 7 and that Notre Dame is better? Did you just, the eyeball test? We watched them? Well, you have no resume to prove that.
Right.
Then the 2 good teams that are on your schedule, you lost to. I don't know how much more of an argument you have to make for Notre Dame. Let's also add, when you're talking about teams, how is that team playing right now? Yes, Texas has been a roller coaster, but they're 6-1 in their last 7. That loss was at Georgia. Their quarterback in the last 5 games has thrown for 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. He's also rushed for 3 touchdowns. He's completed 63% of his passes, almost 300 yards a game. So we have a defense that rose up and held a high-powered A&M to 17 points, pretty much blanked them in the second half. You have a quarterback and an offense that's playing red hot. So, yeah, you can say what you want about the way Texas looked against Kentucky, and you own that, but they won the game. They're playing their best football right now with a team that was preseason number 1. Are you putting in the best 7 is what I'm asking. I don't care about the qualifiers. That's the rules of the game. Are you putting in the most accomplished and best 7? I don't care if it is 6 SEC teams. If Texas is one of them and they're better than Miami or Notre Dame, Miami plays in far and away the worst conference. Miami is a 2-loss team who couldn't even qualify for that crappy championship game. 5-loss Duke is playing in that championship game, and what if they win it?
They won't be in.
So Texas has to be ahead of Miami, but they're not even ahead of Notre Dame, which doesn't make. This is what Sark has done in these conversations we're having, which we have them here in the 5-1-2, but they're being had all over the country, whether it's Joel Klatt or Kirk Herbstreit on McAfee. And no one is saying anything other than Sark has a great point.
Sure.
So whatever the committee says tonight, they then have to stand there and say why. And this is the one that matters. They do that every Tuesday.
Yeah.
This is the one that matters. You have to. This is where the rubber meets the road, and you have to say, why is Notre Dame that high?
Right.
What are you basing that on?
Yeah, and that's what Sark's asking. I truly believe that.
And I'll even leave Texas out of it and say, okay, well then why is Miami behind them? They beat them head to head. And this is why Sark's talking about canceling games in the future in the non-con, because if Miami beating that Notre Dame team head up doesn't count for anything come this day and this final ranking or penultimate ranking, then what's the point?
Right.
What the hell are we doing? That is you, and this is what the committee has on their shoulders right now. You know they have TV networks like Fox and ESPN breathing down their neck because we don't need these teams canceling these games, guys. Send a message.
Yeah.
Do not because as Sark said yesterday on the SEC this morning, how many eyeballs tuned in to watch them play Ohio State week 1? It was like 16 million people. It set a record. Still the most viewed game of the year, arguably outside of Alabama, Georgia. You want to lose that game? I mean, 6 of the highest rated 10 TV games this year were non-conference games. 6 of the highest 10. So the eyeballs were on those games in September.
Right.
And Labor Day weekend. You want those to go away? I know Fox doesn't. I know ESPN doesn't.
Well, and then
and so they're pushing this to say. But again, there's not enough spots for the number of teams. But at least the committee can have a commentary on how they're picking these teams and why they're picking these teams how they are.
Other than just wins and losses.
That has to be answered.
Other than a record, right? Just of 9-3 versus 10-2.
And don't be surprised if you see Texas down there at 13 and kind of out of the mix again if you don't see Sark on that show tonight.
Yeah, I'd be shocked.
Or Chris Del Conte.
It's fair to say I believe they have the best win, unless someone can tell me differently, that they have the best win in college football right now. And that's against Texas A&M, who was undefeated, number 3 in the country. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. Sark's doing his job, and he's asking fair questions.
I mean, the Florida game is a loss. There's no. That's an albatross, and we said it when it happened. But at the same time, their losses outside of that are to one. The team I think is number 2. They're actually 3. That's Georgia.
Yeah.
But so I think Georgia's the second best team in the country. I would pick them head up against Indiana right now. So 1, 2, they beat 3, they beat 7, they beat 13. I mean, come on. I mean, that's you're playing a powerhouse schedule. You're 3-1 against those teams in your own conference that are ranked really high. That you rank them high. The committee has them up there. They like them a lot. Like A&M, you had 3rd. Sure. That should count for something. Meanwhile, those other teams we're talking about have not. So I just am eager to see what they're going to say. I don't have much confidence they're going to put Texas ahead. And Heather Dinich, she's got connections within that committee. So she's got little birdies giving her good intel. She's been spot on every week. She said yesterday they're out. They're not going to make it, which I think the 5 SEC teams is probably the bigger reason for it. but at least the committee's going to have to answer the questions of why. And Notre Dame's going to be the biggest target.
For sure.
Without a doubt. And
that's
guess what?
been the
Texas
target
has
for a while.
future game with Notre Dame, 2 of them, that they could say, you
Well,
know what,
will they?
guys, we're not playing you.
And I think you're spot on with these teams. They should say no thanks, and that's why USC's having this debate with Notre Dame. If USC didn't schedule Notre Dame, they're sitting there probably at 10-2 and go, hey, we have a chance at the playoffs. Right? It does not benefit them. All Notre Dame is doing is benefiting off these teams scheduling that happen to have a rank next to them because they have no conference.
Well, and
they don't have a championship game.
We talk about the things that could, the seed change of college athletics, because we know it's probably going to 14 or 16 by next year. And the SEC and the Big Ten will dictate that. But yes, I mean, teams are going to stop scheduling Notre Dame. If Notre Dame gets rewarded for not beating anybody because of the brand and, the Golden Dome and whatever, teams like Texas and USC are going to say, okay, we're not playing. If you're not going to be in a conference and play by the same rules like everybody else does, you can't even get to a championship game and you're good with that, then we're not playing you. Then go play Marshall. Go play whoever. We don't care. Go play the military academies, and we're not playing you. We're not giving you that data point. Because what they're saying right now with Notre Dame at 9 is just playing Texas A&M and Miami and losing close games is credit to Notre Dame.
Right.
That's what they're saying. I mean, that has to be addressed by somebody.
It does, and I don't know if it will.
All right,
That's
will talk.
the issue.
We'll pick it up on the and Miami beating them head-to-head has to count.